8 brothers live under one roof, one is sharp, one is dim.
5 brothers do business out front, the last one keeps tabs on everything.
This is an essential Buddhist text. Let's explore and find out who they are. The 8 brothers stand for the different parts of what we call our great mind. Every one of us relies on 8 forms of consciousness to live a normal life. The 8 forms of consciousness work in unison all the time, like an experienced dance team, who work within their own scope of duties. Brothers 1 to 5 doing business UT front are the eye consciousness, the ear consciousness, the nose consciousness, the tongue consciousness, and the body consciousness. These are our senses: sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch, and they interact with the outside world like busy bees, constantly giving us information about the world around us when we're awake. The one who understands and analyzes all the information supplied by these 5 brothers is Brother 6, the mental consciousness.
He keeps a close watch, weighing and considering everything the first 5 brothers do, like a sharp manager. He's what we think of as our mind.
The final 2 of the 8 brothers manage things behind the scenes and we are totally unaware of them. One of them, Brother 7, is called Manas, or the 7th consciousness. He is very quick and responsive. Like a top-notch butler, he takes care of everything in the house and makes decisions whenever necessary while staying invisible.
The other unseen brother, Brother 8, is called the Buddha Essence. His formal name is Tathagatagarbha. See if you can say that out loud. Sometimes he's also called the 8th consciousness or the foundational consciousness. We'll talk more about him later.
Manas is the one who makes the final decision about everything we do. He also believes that he himself is the real self.
However, the mental consciousness tells us he is our real, ultimate self. But if he were really in control, why would he let himself experience the suffering of birth, sickness, aging, and death again and again as we go through lifetimes one after the other?
However, among the 8 brothers, only Brother 8, the Buddha Essence, the Tathagatagarbha, lives forever and is unaffected by old age, death, or any kind of suffering. Like the air we breathe, the Buddha Essence is formless and invisible. Yet it is the central core of our existence. While we are alive, the Buddha Essence keeps records of everything we do in each life, in the way a black box in an aircraft stores all the transmitted data. Applying the law of cause and effect, also called karma, to our conduct, the Buddha Essence enables the creation of a new body of an animal, a human, a celestial being, or whatever form we deserve based on what we have done in our previous lives. The Buddha Essence is indeed the most amazing yet invisible magician. It is our real self.
While Manas isn't the real self of a being, he does one very important thing. When a person's body is no longer usable, Manas will decide to move to another one. Since Manas believes the Buddha Essence is part of himself, he drags it with him through many lifetimes in different bodies. When the Manas drags the Buddha Essence along with it through endless rounds of rebirth, the consciousnesses of the senses are unable to follow them. As we all know, a dead person has no feelings and perceptions, which means that our mental consciousness, the 6th brother, also ceases at death and does not go on to the next life. The mental consciousness is fickle, his likes and dislikes can flip in an instant. He gets bored easily and likes to stay entertained. The mental consciousness ceases in a dreamless sleep, so obviously it is not something eternal and imperishable. Some people teach that the mental consciousness will go on to future lives. They mistake it for the real self and they want to believe that this self-knowing self will last forever, but it doesn't.
Obviously, the records that the Buddha Essence of each person contains are unique to that person, since no 2 beings have ever done exactly the same things or had the same experiences. Think of how even identical twins are not totally alike in their personalities, hobbies, capabilities and appearances. This is also why some people display particular gifts, sometimes at very young ages.
The Buddha Essence itself isn't changed by the karmic records. Like a cup that can hold different drinks, it's the one thing that stays the same, regardless of its contents, life after life. But the Buddha Essence is formless and shapeless, so how can we find it? Think of how our eyes cannot see microorganisms because they are very small, or distant galaxies because they are very large. We need the help of microscopes and telescopes. Similarly, to see the Buddha essence, we need to have a special tool, the eye of wisdom.
So how can we open and use our wisdom eye? In everyday life, we should treat people with kindness and respect, cultivate tolerance and compassion within ourselves, respect the three jewels, and accept the Buddha's teachings with faith. If you can do all these consistently, your wisdom eye will soon awaken. By cultivating the Buddha Dharma with diligence, your wisdom eye will open when all the conditions are right, and you will be able to see the Buddha essence, the invisible magician in you.
Instead, we must seek the Buddha essence, because it is the only mind entity that is everlasting and unchanging over time. By learning the correct Buddha Dharma, we can change the karmic forces stored in the Buddha essence by correcting and purifying manas from the effects of any bad things we've done.
Potentially, every one of us can become a Buddha. To be more precise, any sentient being can become a Buddha. So we are all equal in terms of our chance of attaining Buddhahood. When we become a Buddha like Buddha Shakyamuni, Buddha Amitabha, or any other Buddhas, we will acquire omniscient wisdom. As a Buddha, we will each have the power to choose our rebirth in any world and become any kind of sentient being, so that we can teach people anywhere about the wisdom of liberation from the uncontrolled cycle of rebirth.
If you really want to become a Buddha, you can make the following vow every day: may I acquire the unsurpassed merits and wisdom of a Buddha, so that I can help liberate all sentient beings from endless rounds of rebirth. To achieve this, I sincerely vow to cultivate the Buddha Dharma and learn all there is to know about the Buddha essence.
Association du vrai cœur.